What's going on, everybody? It's Mike. I'm back with you today in the shed that's nestled quite eloquently in the back 9 of TPC Real Low Dad. This fantastic shed has come a long way, and it's getting there step by step, day by day. It's getting better. Today, I want to talk about Bermuda mistakes, common mistakes that those that may be new to Bermuda or people that have had a Bermuda lawn for years and have just kind of always done their thing may make, and I'm going to provide tips and suggestions on what to do to fix these mistakes to give you an awesome golf course lawn. First up is scalping, and you need to scalp your Bermuda. Just simply letting that dead dormant material just go and sit there and wait for the lawn to green up is doing you no favors. The new growth does not come from the top of the plant like it does, during the growing season. It actually comes from the stolons along the ground. So by removing that dead, built-up material, that dormant material that's been there and agging at you and looking at you all ugly all winter long, removing that is going to let that sunlight hit the soil, warm the soil up, and improve the green up speed of your Bermuda. That's all it needs, is some sunlight and some heat to get things going. No special products needed at all to get that Bermuda greening up. Now, when you're scalping the lawn, you want to scalp it as low as you can possibly go. If you have a reel mower, if that's what you're using to mow your lawn, you drop that bad boy all the way down. You want to get it down into the dirt. Now, not everyone has a reel mower and they're left mowing with a rotary mower. That's perfectly fine. If you have a rotary mower, you need to just do the exact same thing you would with a reel mower. Drop it down as low as you can possibly get that thing to the ground to get that material out of there. You also want to collect or bag the clippings coming from it. Don't do like I did in this video clip here with just slinging them back into the lawn, because then after that I had to go over with the rotary mower slammed to the ground to suck up as much as I could, and then kept having to rake it to get that material gone. I figured just letting the clippings go and cleaning up after would be faster. It wasn't. It actually took a lot of time, and I spent all day just doing the backyard, to whereas the front yard, it's a third of the size, but I was done in about an hour. So collect those clippings, get it down as low as you can. That's going to help the green up and take you one step closer to a golf course lawn. Next up is the height you're mowing the lawn at. You're probably, if you're new to Bermuda, mowing it way too tall, and that's okay, because pretty much all documentations, if you just search how high should I cut my grass, they don't specify different heights between grass. They're just cut it 3.5, 4 inches, as high as your mower can go. And that's what you've been doing. However, that's not the case with Bermuda and other warm season grasses. Bermuda actually likes being cut on the shorter side. It looks better, and it also helps encourage it to spread laterally and fill in and repair itself. That's one of the greatest features of a Bermuda grass lawn, is its ability to self-repair, where you're not having to continually throw seed down and pay money to Big Fescue year after year to maintain a lawn. It fixes itself. It's wonderful. So what height of cut should you be mowing at? Well, I personally recommend never going above 2 inches if you're using a rotary mower. Now, I know, there might be some high spots and you might experience some scalping, but that's okay. Just use those scalp marks as a way to identify areas in your yard that you need to repair, because you can tear it up and, chop it up. The Bermuda will fill back in. That's what it does. That's why it's an alpha grass. The other reason you want to mow it at a lower height of cut is when it's mowed at that 3.5 or 4 inches, way up there, only the top inch and a half is actually going to be green. Everything else underneath it's going to be brown and dormant. So if you're walking on it and you step and the grass folds over, it'll spring back up. But for that little bit that it's folded over, guess what? It's not springing back up. You're going to see brown and green. It's just not a desirable appearance. So mowing lower will help prevent that, because more sunlight can get down into the canopy of the plant and the canopy of the turf and not go as dormant. Mowing frequency also plays a part into this, and That's another mistake people make with Bermuda lawns is they're on that old schedule. Again, just not seeking out the proper information. They're just, yeah, I mow once a week. That's fine. That's the way it's always been done. You mow one time a week. Well, for any type of grass actually is you mow when the grass needs to be mowed, and ideally that is when you're able to take off 1/3 of the height of the plant to not break the 1/3 rule. Cool thing about Bermuda is you can break the living snot out of the 1/3 rule, and it just comes back and keeps asking for more because it's an alpha grass. But mowing frequency needs to increase with a Bermuda lawn. Not every 7 days. Look for honestly about every 4 to 5 depending on your height of cut. The lower you cut the grass, the more you need to mow. Now once you get down to where if you're having to mow every 2 days, you're probably mowing really, really low. And you might want to look into growth regulators. We can talk more about those in a future video since this is just kind of a how to fix mistakes. Or coming up on the next thing is you're over fertilizing and causing too much top growth. So if you're mowing like at 1.5 inches, 2 inches, but you're mowing every 2 days, you're fertilizing way, way too much. Stop putting pounds to the ground, take a step back, pause, and look at how much nitrogen you're putting down. Now, publications state that, during the growing season, Bermuda likes to have up to 1 pound of nitrogen per 1,000 square feet monthly. However, it doesn't go into the details of the lower you're mowing, you need to decrease the fertilizer inputs either from a time perspective, so instead of 1 pound a month, it might be 1 pound every 8 weeks or 2 months. If you're putting 1 pound of nitrogen a month on a 1/2 inch cut Bermuda lawn, you're going to be out there every freaking day mowing if you don't have growth regulator, and honestly, probably every 2 days even if you do use growth regulator. So the lower you cut, back down on the nitrogen. You don't need that much with Bermuda. Another thing you don't need with Bermuda is when it's dormant, you do not need any type of biostimulants, anything like that whatsoever. When the grass isn't growing, it's not going to be uptaking any nutrients, so stop pissing your money away. I know you want to spray some stuff and you just bought all this fancy stuff and you want to get it down and make this awesome lawn, but it's going to do zero good whatsoever. So only apply biostimulants and fertilizers when the plant is actively growing. Another mistake I see, and this is actually quite common to those that are new to Bermuda or simply lack the experience to properly maintain a Bermuda lawn, and that is overseeding a Bermuda grass with more Bermuda grass. Now, there's 2 types of Bermuda. There's a common and a hybrid. That's keeping it very simple. There are many types of commons. There are many types of hybrid. Biggest difference is commons produce seed that is viable. Hybrids have seed that is not viable. It's sterile. You can only get a hybrid lawn via sprigs, plugs, or sod. And that costs a little bit more than seed. What happens is when you seed, say, a common into a hybrid, you're going to have a texture and color mismatch that's noticeable probably from space. It's that bad. Like for example here in my lawn, and I did this reverse, so it's not really a mistake, I'm just trying an experiment. I introduced TIF plugs into my Yukon Bermuda. Yukon Bermuda, some say, is a cheap poor man's Bermuda grass, but when I put it down 3 years ago, it was that or Princess 77, and it was very expensive then, and it's only gone up in price since then. So don't overseed a common into a hybrid, and then don't do what I did of plugging a hybrid into a common. It's really hard to get rid of common. I did it because I like to learn. I like to experiment. I like to do things. And it shows a perfect example of why not to do it. So if someone sold you on some Bermuda seed, like some Arden 15, to put into your Tifway 419 or your Tif Tough, I'm sorry. You got taken for a ride, and there's not much you can do about it now, unless you kill everything and start over. Water is an essential part of having a lawn. A lot of people don't like it, but to have a nice lawn, you have to water the lawn. The one great thing about Bermuda is it tends to be a lot more heat tolerant because it loves the heat, but it also is more drought tolerant than other types of turf grass. Now, while it does like the heat and it tends to be more tolerant of drought conditions, it does not negate the need for water. Bermuda likes to have about 1 inch of water per week. If you are in a hotter or drier drought conditions, for example, you may need to bump that up to 1.5 inches of water per week, or you can look into the use of wetting agents. Now, there's a big misconception going around on wetting agents to where they alleviate the need to water, to where you have to water less. That's not true. What the wetting agents do is they relieve surface tension of the top layer of soil, allow water to penetrate into the root zone more effectively, and some wetting agents hold the water there for a longer period of time before it goes further down into the soil. But what it does not do is it does not replace water. It's a great tool and a resource to have available to you in times of intense heat and drought. However, it's not a replacement for water. So just keep that in mind. I use several wetting agents. I have had great success with pretty much every single one I've used. I like them, and I will still continue to use them. However, just be aware they're not a replacement for water. Finally, we're getting into fall and some mistakes that are made during that time frame. It's become quite popular to overseed your lawn with a perennial ryegrass or even an annual ryegrass. If you follow some of my previous videos, I've done both, and the annual ryegrass I used was an improved turf quality annual ryegrass, and I was actually very happy with how it turned out. However, it's extremely hard to kill. Don't be fooled by the annual thinking just it lives and then it dies. When it lives, it produces a lot of seeds, and those seeds, they like to just kind of sit there until conditions are right. So you're in fall, you overseed that Bermuda with some perennial or annual rye to have that year-round green. Springtime comes around, and you assume the heat's gonna kill it. Well, guess what, buddy? The heat is not gonna kill it. You need to spray it out. And you can spray it out with a variety of options. There's MSM. It's cheap. It works okay for the most part, but there's risks involved. You really need to have professional grade equipment and experience using a calibrated sprayer, because it's measured in grams, and the amount to do a 5,000 square foot lawn is teeny tiny. There are other options like Monument, but then that's getting into the high dollar amounts. So that's something you need to think about. If you don't have the means, both from an experience wise with the equipment necessary to spray it out, or the dollar amounts to use something a little bit safer, but still require that same level of equipment, you might want to hold off on overseeding. Also, if you decided to seed your Bermuda lawn, you want to not overseed at all that first season. You need to let it go dormant, go through winter, come out of winter, and then you can overseed the following year. I like to learn and try new things and see what happens. It's just the way I've always been. So I did that my first year, and the following spring it took multiple applications. I ended up using MSM and Monument to get that ryegrass killed out. So I was like a month behind of the season just due to that, and that's a mistake that I made out of curiosity, but you don't have to make because you're watching this video. You just have to deal with dormant brown grass for one season. Then you can delve deep into the underworld of overseeding, and then the underworld of Bermuda, which I'm currently residing in and having a fantastic time partying with just a few other people. Okay, so that's it for my Bermuda mistakes and some tips on how to have an absolutely fantastic golf course lawn that will make your neighbors jealous and wish their lawn looked like yours. I'm sure I probably missed some tips and tricks and things like that, so if you have any tips and tricks for Bermuda grass, drop them below down in the comments. I would love to hear them and hear what you have to say on that. I want to thank you all for watching this video. I got some other stuff coming up, hopefully. I don't know. I'm on my own schedule. No weekly videos. I'm doing kind of what I feel like doing, and it's working pretty good. But I do have some fertilizer I put down the other day, and I can't wait to talk more about it. I'm waiting to see the results. So far I'm pleased. We're leaving it at that. It's super dreamy. It has a color that just soothes my soul, and I'm so excited about it. Thanks for watching. It's Mike, Real Low Dad, in the shed at TPC. Real Low Dad. You all have a good one. We'll see you.